Broskoff, ambassador of Onward and Upward, and co-hosting with Emily Gulmer and Anna Maria Bliven. Anna Maria, the founder and executive director of Onward and Upward. And we actually have a guest for our podcast today, our co-host from H&P Ability, Maria Zaney. So we are welcoming in Maria as a guest today. So welcome, Maria. So Maria might be getting her technology up and running. Anna Maria, you want to start out with our podcast? It's all stemming from the work that you've been doing for over 4 years now. And with the mission of Onward and Upward, you want to speak to that a little bit, Anna Maria? What is Onward and Upward all about?
Yes, I would love to share with the audience what happened in 2017 after 4 years of helping people that have homes and have computers. It was all my husband's fault. I will blame him, and he happily accepts the blame. But he turned to me one morning and he said, "What happens if you don't have your home and you don't have a computer? What do you do then?" Because he was very proud of me that I had helped about 200 people be able to work at home like I do. And so I went and did some research, and it come to find out that if you don't have a home and you don't have access to a computer, but more than maybe at the most 2 hours, you cannot compete in an online job market. So he said, the last I looked, this is the United States of America, and we have to have equality and justice for all. He says, that's not just, and that's not equality. And I agreed. So then he says, so what are we going to do about it? So we put our heads together. He's an engineer, I'm an educator, and we came up with the concept, or not concept, but actually a facility of a center. And we called it a community online work center. Yes, that stands for COW. Maybe that has a little something to do with the fact that we're in Wisconsin. I don't know. But it is a COW. It's a community online work center. But now let's get serious for a minute. Just picture this. You are homeless. The only way that you're going to be able to get a job on the online job market is at the center. Because there is a computer waiting for you in the classroom to learn what it takes to get an online job. And you get an online job. Then you go to the cubicle, your own space, workspace, where you work for your online employer. When you're working for your online employer, you're making anywhere between $10 and $20 an hour. Although I did help somebody last week get $22.50. You never know. But I say, just to be on the safe side, $10 to $20 an hour. You're going 40 hours a week. You're getting that income. Now we're teaching you how to use that money for all different kinds of things. You save it, you spend it wisely, and eventually you get into your own place of your own residence. When you're with us for 6 months, you are working for the online employer. You're getting monitoring, mentoring, supervising, and we're also feeding you healthy beverages and healthy food. So we're also feeding you education for personal and professional development. We just ask that you would tune in 1 hour per month and learn things like conflict negotiation, business interpersonal communication, reliability, dependability, time management, stress management, and all throughout you're learning and getting empowered and mentored money budget management. Most people go under because of that very issue. Then guess what? There's also a bonus, and I love the bonus because we teach you where you can work anytime you want. So you got an extra hour or two, you go to these sites safely without getting scammed, and you get paid per task. You supplement your income. So all of our clients get to learn all of this, do all of this, and they're never homeless again. That's the Community Online Work Center. That's Onward and Upward. That is onward and upward from a situation that their world got turned upside down. So we're here to give them the tools with the tricks, tips, tricks. I can never say, okay, I'm getting tongue tied. The tips, tricks, and techniques to get back on their feet and stay on their feet. Just imagine, what would it be if those that want to change their lives could change their lives like this? They go from tax burdeners to taxpayers. They go from being dependent on social services to being independent, financially solvent, and sustained. That's what we're all about. And we're rowing this boat, which seemingly we only have our own oars in the water. But guys, we're looking for donors, sponsors, and volunteers.
Very good. So yeah, that Community Online Work Center is a good model for everywhere in the world. You know, could have a community online work center. And in terms of the work we're doing on this, that means we can have volunteers and support from anywhere globally. And as part of our efforts to be in position to do so, we are aligned with the Happy Neighborhood Project. And we were just discussing something that has come out of one of our Onward and Upward meetings. Our very own Emily Gallmer talked about how at the Happy Neighborhood Project, they're attracting primarily for-profit, primarily attracting for-profit businesses. And Emily thought, well, they should have a meeting for nonprofits. And so you took that, Anna Maria, and you made the proposal. And so the news around the Happy Neighborhood Project is we have a co-host team, including yourself. So Anna Maria, you want to pick up from there? And
oh, yes. Oh, we're so excited. September 22nd at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So wherever that is in the world, hey, that's what the headquarters time is. So 2 p.m. September 22nd. Well, there's a lot of 222s in that. September 22nd at 2 p.m. 2021 is the debut of HNP Nonprofit. We are so excited because we're getting a chance to be around the world, learn what all of the missions and visions and passions and purpose and all of that is taking place. And I'm hoping to have a little corner of that for those that have the dream of having an end to housing insecurity.
Yep, it's great news. And so, yeah, we're hoping to have a couple hundred people register for that kickoff of September 22nd. And right now we're at about 10 registrations. So this is all hot off the press, new news. And so just with a couple days worth of work, we've got this progress happening as we speak. So
Yeah,
Anna Maria.
The date and time just became official yesterday. So it's very new and hot off the press, as Kurt says.
There you go.
And
Thanks,
sorry,
Emily.
so not to interrupt you, Kurt. I just wanted to say that.
Sure. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So Anna Maria, I know you're going to be leaving the rest of the podcast to Emily, Maria, and myself. But before you go, do you have any final thoughts? Anything else you want to get into the podcast before?
Well, you know, we've been scrambling for support, volunteer support, donor, sponsor support. You would yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people go, what? Wait a minute, you're changing the world, and you don't have any more but just your oars, your own oars in the water. Where's everybody else's oars? Where's everybody else's boats? How come you're the only one rowing and trying to, you know, do what it takes to change people's lives? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I can say that we're trying to do what we can do with whatever we can work with. And so a friend of Kurt's does an incredible therapy with smashing and then meditating. So there's a lot of smash rooms, and they're for recreation. But if you're somebody who also needs to renew because you're stuck and you need to have a little bit more to move forward in life, then we have a smash party that we're trying to do as a fundraiser. And so the smash party, the next one is September 3rd, right, Emily?
Correct.
September 3rd at 4 p.m. Central Time. I'm gonna smash more boxes so that other people don't have to live in them.
Yeah, and guys, I think Glenda's the only one to have put smashing and meditation together in the same time frame. I don't know
Yeah,
if any
because
other
there's
organization
physical
that
and
does it.
mental connection that takes place when you smash and meditate.
That's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday in
Happy
advance.
Maria.
On the 3rd of September. Is it a virtual event or is it a virtual event?
It's
It'll be on Zoom.
online.
Yes, yep, it'll be on Zoom.
Okay, well that's my birthday sorted, so I'll come on my birthday.
Great. Join us, smash anything, but if you can't think of anything, smash boxes. Everybody's got boxes around somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll smash my birthday cake.
Okay, so keep that in mind for the smash party. That's a fundraiser for Onward and Upward. We can get more oars in the water and we can move this along. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Emily and Maria. Really nice to see you again.
All right. Thanks, Anna
Thank
Maria.
you, Maria.
Gotta
Thank
go.
you for being a co-host for H&P Ability.
Oh, my
Best.
pleasure. I'm gonna miss you guys.
All right. Take care, Anna Maria. Thanks again. All right, Maria, what does the day bring to you? What's on your mind?
Yeah, today I did a lot of I did the training for sexual exploitation of children, so it's been a tough day today. I did a lot of training for that, so that's not a nice topic to train on. So yeah, I'd done extra training on that. So yeah, I did. I was on there from 3 p.m. my time, which into 10 p.m. at night. So it's a long day, quite challenging, as you can imagine, Kurt. It's not easy topic to talk about or discuss, and it's just highlighting the signs of seeing a child in distress, a child that is being human trafficked, and it's quite prevalent right now across the globe, and right now in America it's very prevalent, and it's not just in America, it's everywhere right now. There's never been, I think this is the worst it's been in a long time. Even in COVID, human trafficking is rising by 30%. You wouldn't think so, but it's actually even more prevalent right now. So it's quite, and Matt Siegel has done a lot. He does like so much for it, and so do I. So it's, and he's going to be, I believe he's going to be a co-host on a non and for profit. I believe, is he going to be part of the non and for profit?
He may be, but not as a co-host.
I think he'll bring a lot to the table, and I hopefully Emily will be the captain of it, because I think she'll be amazing at it, and so that's what I'm going to be proposing. Emily, is you captain that ship, and
Hopefully by early next week we'll know for sure.
Like to say captain the ship, and as like Captain Kirk, I'll hopefully be calling you Captain Emily soon. Hopefully.
Yeah, hope so. Hopefully.
I think it's such an amazing idea, because definitely non-profits. There's so many, especially right now with COVID, non-profits like yourself that you work for have had to step in. Like food banks as well, so many different things. And COVID is still under, we're like in Australia right now, in certain parts of Australia, that now in the 6th lockdown. And Italy is potentially going into the 4th lockdown. To say like COVID is is over right now. It's still not, and it's still prevalent. So with the Delta variant right now, and the issues with human trafficking, so many issues going on, and the horror stories that you hear about human trafficking, and the fact that they're children. That's the most important thing, to put the message out there. These are children, and they should be protected, and and that is really important, that we should be protecting the children of tomorrow. And unfortunately, a lot of human trafficking victims are trafficked by their own family. A lot of them are found online. A lot of them are found anywhere, and you can be human trafficked. It's so easy to. There's a story that I don't often say to people. When I was 18, I was going down to London to do an audition for the London School or College, London, I think the London School of Speech and Drama, and Robert De Niro is a patron of, and he loves that. When I got off the train at King's Cross, I was approached by someone who offered me, because they saw my luggage, because I was staying with my cousin who lives in London, he offered me a free place to stay cut. And I felt really, really uncomfortable. And I was in the phone box, so I closed the phone box on him and would allow me to close it on him. And when you know that you've got saying you need to leave, you need to get away from someone, and he was just being too friendly, and I was like, something's not right here. And in 5 minutes he came over and offered me this place, and it's a free, it's a flat, I've got a flat, you can come and stay with me. And I'm like, hold on a minute, this is no. So if I didn't have my wits about me, or I didn't understand what was going on, or I didn't have that gut, I could have been human trafficked, and it's so easily to be done. And I think we need to have awareness and vigilance at school. I think it's really important that this is as an educational tool. I would love to see human trafficking monitors at school, because what happens sometimes, some of the older victims of human trafficking, maybe at school, and could find someone who's shy, who's someone who hasn't got a lot of friends, and it's really easy to be human trafficked. Anyone can be a human trafficking victim, and it's not just about exploitation, it's about slave labor. It's so much thing. If you look in Africa, there's child soldiers, and now unfortunately we're looking at what's happened in Afghanistan. Right now we're seeing those horrible images. We're seeing stuff that happened in the past, so it's really prevalent. What do you think about human trafficking of children?
Well, it's a drastic concern, a major societal issue, and it's got many layers to it. It's very sophisticated, it's criminal, it's sociopathic, and it's threatening, and it's latent. It sneaks up on you. People are caught up in it that never thought they would be, and everybody thinks that they're safe. And the advocacy is all about that. It's in our own backyard, that nobody should fool themselves that they're anywhere distant to it. And it is scary because I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I've told the administration in our school district that, they have to heighten their attention to it, because they're in the business of serving families and children. And I know they don't have the resources to do anything about it, but I think in leadership and in the service that they provide, if they're not, making this part of their professional development, we're in trouble, because they play a vital role, and it needs to be a collective impact. We got to get with our faith community, our nonprofits that, Lions, Kiwanis, Rotary, all these international volunteer groups, and then there's all the nonprofits that directly take attention to human trafficking and the fact that slavery is at an all-time high. I mean, never before in the history of humankind has it been higher. So it's a high alert item, and it's at the very fabric of defining families and communities, and businesses need to be involved, because people in professional circles are getting caught into this and committing these types of things. So whether government, and then we got to watch out with all the fun things we do. If we're doing sports, hobbies, pastime, leisure activities, travel. I know, like in the golf industry, when there's major golf events, the heightened awareness is there. Anytime that there is a mass congregation of people in the marketplace and mega events are going on, the perpetrators of human trafficking are lurking in the midst of these ginormous events. So yeah, I'm very concerned about it. When I got involved in disability advocacy, I shifted some good attention over to that area, because in disability advocacy, there's a specific concern for the disability community on the topic of trafficking. So everywhere you turn, it's an amazing topic to get awareness out there, and to help inform people that they may be sitting there in a false sense of.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, especially what's happened in Canada recently with the discovery of, which was shocking, about the Indigenous community and the residential homes and the bodies that they found. That cannot be swept under the carpet. It can't. It happened. Yes, it happened in the past, but you cannot sweep that under the carpet. And for many, many years, Indigenous children, Indigenous children that went missing, weren't in the corporate list. There's so many murders right now of children that have not been, that haven't been like brought anyone to justice. And you're thinking, what's going on? What now? There's so many technology out there, and people just say, "Oh, that child was a child prostitute." No one chooses to be a prostitute. No one chooses this life. This life is forced on them. They don't choose to be in this life. It's forced on them. And it's forcing them by drugs, it's forcing them by brainwashing, it's forcing them to be known as the Stockholm Syndrome. People came aware of the Stockholm Syndrome by Parkhurst and trauma. When you probably be shocked and would you be shocked and surprised that the main human trafficking event in the US is the Super Bowl? Would you be shocked?
Wait, so say it again.
The main area that they get the most human trafficking is at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would not be shocked by that. I can believe it. Unfortunately.
And what I would like to see in schools, I don't know about your car, I would like to see patrols of people that have like first saying human trafficking officers, and going in and be vigilant in schools and going into all these schools and having that first. And I would like to see survivors of human trafficking going into schools, talking to the children, explaining to them how it's so easy to be human trafficked. I don't believe, in my personal opinion, that if you're 13, you should have Facebook. Or because people don't understand that, for me, is wrong. They're too young. I know that's probably a lot of people saying they shouldn't, but there was an incident of someone that gave, who this girl is, it it was in a documentary, and this girl is a model, okay? But this girl is with her mom. This mother put her on Instagram, put her daughter on Instagram, and she's only 6. Yeah, she monitors the Instagram account, but this girl was getting sent horrible, filthy messages. And I'm like, why would you put your 6-year-old daughter on Instagram? I understand, like, there's some people's children on Facebook. I understand that. So I'm kind of torn about that, but I don't think. I think, for example, Facebook should be much older, and I think organizations like Facebook and Instagram and all these, TikTok, must take action to be super vigilant on grooming online. I think, because especially, well, if you go to like the Philippines, cyber threats is rife in the Philippines, and it's called a red zone. A red zone is where it's prolific, and it's where it's prolific. You get yellow, then you get blue. When you have like a state in America that's got a lot of interstates and lots, that's where a lot of areas of human trafficking is. Even though it's interstates, I mean, there's crisscrossing of different highways going across north, south, east, and west. You'll see a lot more human trafficking in ports areas, because that's where they can ship them out. You'll see it more in Florida, because they can go down south to Mexico and other places like that. But I would be hyper vigilant. I would kind of ask myself, what if I saw a 13, when I was in Genoa, I saw this girl. This girl couldn't have been more than 12, and she was on the streets. So I knew this is wrong. I want to go over it, but it wasn't the right place. So before you do anything, like, take pictures and then send them to the police. Keep a vigilance, but I really think every single human being needs to do human trafficking awareness. Absolutely, and they have to instill it to the children to be hyper vigilant. I know it sounds horrible that you're entailing a child's freedom, but if you've got, like you said, it's also young boys that human traffic. It's not just girls; it's young boys. It's anyone to human traffic. It can be It can be a grandmother of 75 in Genoa. It was a grandmother 75 that human trafficked her own niece, and there was a murder in Italy, and he only attacked like prostitutes, this person on the train. But when he attacked a non-prostitute, that's when the Italian authorities took over. And I think right now, in the past, if you were a child prostitute and you were arrested, you were victim. You got a criminal record. Why give that? It's the perpetrators. Human trafficking is organized crime. So what is that's where the most money comes from. It's $1 billion. It's billions and billions of pounds. It's not, and it's prolific, and it really makes me sad. And it's all over the world, and it's in your own backyard, and it really offends me when I hear people blaming the child who's a victim of being a prostitute. It really offends me. It really irks me. It really irks me. They do not choose this life. No one chooses a child. A child does not choose this life. And if I was to see like a 12-year-old with a 23-year-old, and it was looking kind of suspect, I would take picture and pass it on. I think there's something wrong. So I would always be hyper vigilant. But when you're going to ever approach a human trafficking victim, never approach them in front of their pimp. Be very careful because they have eyes, they have ears, and the mobile phone may be linked to their mobile phone. So it's very important that you do due diligence and you be careful and make sure you're not putting that person at risk, that child at risk, and report it to the authorities. Even if it doesn't come out to be what you thought it would be, you're doing the right thing. What do you think, Kurt?
Well, for sure, it's inherent responsibility that we in the adult community have to get a grip on what we're doing and what we're negligent to respond to, and our cultural influence, because anything passive is permissive, and if we don't get assertive and in particular cases aggressive in how we respond to this, it's irresponsibility to the youth community, and it's unfortunate that that there's not more of a concerted attention. I mean, I know there's huge organizations, huge events, tons of training going on all the time. There is tons of response happening all over the world. And at the same time, it's events that are describing that human trafficking is going on at a big level. And the awareness of it is what people are doing that they think is no big deal, that actually is. And so that is the name of the game. That is the insistence here, is that it's an all hands on deck. Everybody all around has to get into this conversation, and everybody has to feel that they're a part of it. It's like taking care of the environment, or things that you just can't escape from being responsible for. It's our responsibility to the younger generations to to kind of pull together as an adult community and and be grown-ups, and to say that this is not cool, what's going on, and take responsibility. It's the adult community that's giving the appetite for such a crime.
Absolutely, but I also think it's also the responsibility of those people that put them on the fence to make sure they're properly policed, make sure that they have enough resources, make sure that those the people that are brought onto these events understand what they're looking for and be extra vigilant, and also make sure that they have enough resources behind them, even let's say, for example, they can't resource it themselves. Bring on these non-profits that do rescue human trafficking. Bring them on to the events. Have them at the events, volunteering at the events, so they can pick out who is suspected to be human trafficked, who are the traffickers, and then start the investigation and start getting these kids saved. But when a child is rescued, they have become a survivor, and it's important that you allow the child to have control of what happens next, because that control has been taken away. So you must allow the child to be informed of throughout the process, and the child has to be actively involved, even if they're quite young. Still say to them and give them a safe place, because it could even be government employees that is abusing them. It could even be the police that's abusing them as well. It could be people in power. So building trust back up to children who have been human trafficked, it takes a long time. And it's being there and showing them that there is the support and organizations out there that will not judge them for what's happened. We won't judge. We won't. You can't judge and say, oh my God, you've got to make them understand it wasn't their fault, and also empower them to be able to dream the dreams that they had before this happened, and be able to move forward, and to be able to have that their hope back, their life back, their self-esteem back, empower them to believe in themselves fully. And they're survivors, and they're brave, and they are, and I think it's important to have survivor mentors. So when you have a child that has been rescued and becomes a survivor, they're linked up to a survivor member who's been through the same journey, that can guide them through that journey, but they only know what that child has been through, because every single child's journey is different. And I think it's really important that they have that tool and resources. And it's important that all the non-profits and government organisations and the police work together. Because I believe human trafficking and drugs, there's a link between human trafficking and drugs, prostitution, and it's also there's so many different links. And where's this money going to? What's this money? Where's the money going to? Who's getting the money? Where's it going to? Is that pimp? Does he have a higher level of him? How high does it go? Who is the top person to the chain? Is it the gangs that are doing that? Is it the gangs? What gangs are doing this? Is it also professionals that are doing that? Is it the mafia, organized crime? Who is it that is doing this? And how can we spot? I think it's important to stop spot potential victims. If you see somebody that's got bruising all over themselves, and you see somebody that's withdrawn, that to me is a sign of concern. Doesn't mean to say they're going to be human trafficked, but more likely, and also especially in the foster care system, that's a really, and in the homeless sector and runaways as well. 1 out of 8 runaways will be human trafficked. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I think these conversations, are good, and you actually, bring to my mind a question for yourself personally. You're very good to come on a lot of our podcasts with Compassionate Citizens and Prosperity Pathways, Friendly Fridays here, World of Ability tomorrow. What do you think about the idea of, a humanity podcast, that the purpose of it would be to have a weekly conversation about the efforts to eradicate human trafficking and to attract this community, and to be able to post people on where, I know on social media posts, you share a lot of information through LinkedIn and Facebook and other
absolutely. The reason why I do that is, as you know, I'm moving over to helping with the United Nations and other things, but I can't discuss what I do in that, because that's NDAs and everything like that, because that's confidential. And I will be also, I'm going to be learning to train as an investigator, and I'll be working with Interpol shortly and people like that. And so I will be moving on and doing that. And for me, yeah, people have said, is that not scary? Are you not afraid to be put out there? That's what you're doing. You're going after these people. But if I don't take a stand for, as you know, I'm a disability rights activist, and I'm an activist for mental health. I'm an advocate. But if I don't stand up, who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand up and lead lead by example. And I believe that your social media represents who you are. And I believe social LinkedIn, people say it's just for businesses. LinkedIn, if you're a leader, you should be looking at your employees. You should be looking at them and saying, is this person, is this person's family? Have a look, is this person being, what's for me? Can I see the signs of domestic abuse that can lead to potential human trafficking? Can I see that? Can I see someone in my work that needs help with disabilities? Or can I see someone in my work that has mental health struggles? Can I see someone in my work that has debt? Can I see that? That's a forward-thinking leader. That's leading by example. And your employees are your family. They're like your customers are your family. Your employees are your family. Your employees put your business there. So you have to look after your employees and their families. But also you have to be a human being. You have to show compassion. You have to show kindness. And you have to show empathy, especially during COVID. And you've got to make people in Lincoln community acknowledge that there is human trafficking happening. And if there's big CEOs and big companies out there, why are they not putting money into these non-profit organizations to help them challenge the human trafficking? Can we sponsor things in the school to help? Can we create more understanding, more awareness of what's going on? I think it's really important that people are aware of what's happening out there. I think it's really important that there is poverty out there. How can we stop that? There's homelessness out there. How can we stop it? How can we make the society a better and fairer level playing field for every human being? And how can we stop bullying in the playground? How can we, if you see bullying in the playground, stop it. Go up and stop it. How can we stop people bullying people online? And like the keyboard warriors, how can, if you say you're compassionate online, act compassionate in real life. Say what you mean, act how you say. I'm a big believer in leading by example, leading by action. During COVID, I did a lot of training. I've been trained in over 1,000 courses. I've got long COVID right now. I'm not well, but I'm still doing some voluntary work to keep my mind at ease, because I know I I was so ill. I'm still ill. I'm not 100% at all, but I was so ill. I got 25 out of 35 symptoms for COVID. 25 out of 30, 25, no, sorry, 23 out of 25 symptoms of COVID. I had 23 of them. I was so ill. And it really affected, and I've still got a lot of other things to do afterwards, and I'm still not that well, and it's going to take time and I'm going for a rehab as well, but it still hasn't stopped me from looking out for other people, and that's just me. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, I guess I want to build off of what I was saying before about potentially having a podcast about this, because I think we could, like, I'm even thinking of the Happy Neighborhood Project, that I think there's a way, like, we're starting HMP nonprofit, but I think if we had like an HMP humanity group or something, I think those around the world that unite on topics like this, where you know, the human person is being disparaged, and we're talking about these topics of inequity and unfairness, the unjust aspects, and kind of in business and whatever, I think we all deal in crimes, cyber crimes, whatever they may be. And I think it's important to, again, in professional development, to address these issues. And then from the business community, again, attract the nonprofit, the altruistic, the volunteer community, and build this awareness and to pool resources. So I think having a podcast, that really is dedicated every week to bring out these topics and to point people to your social media, and then other people at the Happy Neighborhood Project. And, you start to speak this into reality that we're drawing a tremendous response. I think it would be great.
I think actually the first thing it should be is actually mental health right now, especially with COVID, because people's mental health is COVID has exposed people that never had issues with mental health now have issues with mental health. Now, mental health, everyone has mental health. One day you could be up, one day you could be angry, one day you could be upset. We all have mental health issues. Everyone does. And somebody said they're not affected by mental health are deluding themselves, because everybody has mental health. We all have different variations. We have different coping strategies, and to break the stigma of mental health is something that I really want to talk about, and really want, because if you get people's mental health to be right and you build their self-esteem up to be empower themselves, you're going to have less human trafficking. You're going to have less people being susceptible. You're going to have less bullying because people believe in themselves. And also, there's so many factors like peer pressure, the influence of social media. I think social media can be a devastating tool on the hands of someone. It can be devastating, but it can also be really good. If you look at like Paris Hilton, what she said that she created that Paris Hilton with the voice. That's a character. That's not Paris Hilton herself. That's a character. And what she went through in Sober Canyon and the trauma that she went through, that's horrible. No one should have to receive that. And how she's now become a billionaire is fantastic. And how she's now a DJ, and how she's able, by the documentary, able to change the narrative. And the way the paparazzi went after her, the way the paparazzi are going after Britney Spears and stuff. And Britney Spears, that's human trafficking. What she's went through is human trafficking. She didn't want to be doing the tours, but she was forced, and she had. So that's for me a form of human trafficking. If you're saying to your family, "I do not want to perform," and you're forced to perform, like say like she went abroad and she was forced to perform abroad, and she didn't want to. She's been trafficked against her will. If people don't understand that, then that's human trafficking. That's an example of a celebrity being human trafficked. And people said, "Oh no, she's not being human trafficked." Of course she is. Her dad then has agreed for her to be human trafficked. And if that's the case, and he's done that, then he should be charged with human trafficking. In my professional opinion, maybe that's wrong, but that is what opinion. And the fact that she wanted to have another baby and she's not been allowed to have another baby, goes again, and that's his mental health is a disability. But if she wants to have another baby and she's able to, and she feels mentally able to, yes, she can have complications on what you call postnatal depression. It's postnatal depression is so misunderstood and not understood correctly. But if she's willing to be able to have a child, yes, whether the person is with her is the right person, that's up to her. That's her choice of the matter. But I wouldn't like to have that level of fame and that level of scrutiny and that level of intrusion. That must be mentally challenging and really difficult. And I feel like so many celebrities, yeah, have this intrusion in our lives that they shouldn't have this intrusion. Yes, you want to. I saw a lot of stuff when I was a music promoter. I saw like this girl came up to me and said, I'm not going to name the band, said, oh, this guy phoned me. I'm here to come. I came up from down south to come and see him. He phoned me up. I went, did you know this person? They went, no. Oh, it's just a band. And I went, why would you come up to meet someone who just called you that you don't know anything about? You don't know the risks you're putting yourself into. Do you know how dangerous that is? Does your mum know you're doing this? So, and I've met like famous band members like Slipknot and stuff like that. Because I was a music promoter, and I saw the amount of girls that used to follow me around, and the amount of power these people have, and the amount of young girls that, and I saw older gentlemen with them that shouldn't be with them, and I used to go up. I used to say to people, "This doesn't look right." You can spot it a mile away. You can spot it. You can spot the signs. And that's so. It's important that you just step up, and step out, and just say, call it out when you see it. But be very careful and be particularly vigilant on crop stops and gas stations, petrol stations. Be particularly vigilant there. Vigilant in school as well. You need to be vigilant everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's quite sad. It's everywhere, and I think America, in certain areas, Florida is now leading by example. They've got an institute down there in the University of South Florida that does research in human trafficking. So, and there's a difference between a safe house and a group. Do you know the difference between a safe house and a group house?
Well, a safe house to me is, a place where someone can go if they're under threat to get them out of the hostile, violent, or dangerous situation. And you said like a group house. I mean, a group house sounds to be more of something someone can do if it's more, an ongoing situation, and that they can self-serve and get group, benefit from, group activities and so forth.
So I think it's. I'm sorry for interrupting. A safe house is a place that a child that's being rescued, a survivor, in a safe house, they don't have any mobile devices. They're taken away. So the pimp, whoever it is, or they can't get a hold of them. A group house is, for example, if it's more foster children, it's more for fosters. A safe house if they're being sexually abused, if they've been violated and stuff like that. Some people used to think a safe house was only for people from witness protection. No, a safe house is for. There's different safe houses. There's safe houses for children who've been sexually abused. They go into a safe house. Or there's also a safe house for like families who have been, a woman who's been domestically violent with her children. That's different. And then that's a group home thing. But a safe house is, in that sense, is where they do like counselling they'll get one-to-one mentoring support. They will be able, and they go there, and it's a safe place. They they get learn skills, and they get therapy. That's a safe house.
Yep, good stuff. Yeah. So again, Maria, what do you say to the idea of opening up another podcasting show to start in a weekly commitment that we start distributing?
Yeah, it really depends how busy with my company I get, but I'll get back to you. It sounds good, but I'll just have to see with my commitment for my company. But I would love it. But I would also love to have Jeff involved in it as well.
What was the last part of that? You'd like to see what is that as well?
Jeff Siegel could come on to it as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I thought, we'd start, with you, and then, like I say, it would be to, maybe shift our energy from, like I said, you've been good to come out on a lot of these other 4 podcasts, but I think that from what's been happening lately, that the conversation seems to gravitate very easily to the topic of human trafficking.
Yeah, so, but absolutely, but also I gravitate between the both, because I work for disability rights and human trafficking, because a lot of disabled are human trafficked, so I do the both.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is we have World of Ability for the disability advocacy, and I just am sensing this need for.
If my company does podcasts for that, I can speak to them for you.
So you have to speak to them.
No. My company does podcasts on human trafficking. So I can ask my CEO to maybe come aboard to speak on one of your podcasts.
Okay, so are you able to help us understand? Like, have I been missing it? Like with your social media, are you showing?
No. I'm not meaning that. What I'm meaning is anything like that. I'm going to, because I need to be careful what I reveal because of my organization.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So
mind I can't reveal a lot because I've got NDAs signed with a lot of my cases and information about that. I can't discuss lots of stuff. I can give you ideas how to spot victims, but I can't discuss what the perpetrators do, because that could give people ammunition.
Yeah, I'm not sensing the need for that. I'm just saying
no. I've just got to make that clear.
Yeah, because I'm just sensing that around the world there are a ton of great events, a lot of great websites to check things out with, and I know
absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of action groups out there, actively,
absolutely. There's tons. There's tons of organization. I would recommend that you and Emily go on. Have you been on any human trafficking training, both of yourselves, Emily?
Yeah, I have. But real quick, what I want to do is we are running at our hour mark, which that's where we can do a split. We can keep live streaming, but I want to culminate the recording here so that with what we do at Transforming Media Network and our ongoing work product through the World of Ability Podcast Network, that we can have a conclusion at this mark, and then we'll open it back up, keeping the live streaming going. So again, I'm Kurt Roskoff. I was pleased to be a co-host here with Emily Gallmer, and we had on our co-host Anne-Marie Oblivion, the 3 of us working diligently on our daily basis to grow out the work of Onward and Upward, responding to people experiencing homelessness and entering in a response on their wanting to have employment, perhaps. And so those that are experiencing homelessness, looking to search for a job. That's what we're here for. And then also for the shelter and housing solutions. We bring that out too. So we do have our website for Onward and Upward, which is onwardupwardinc.org. And we also have our social media that that this podcast is going out through on Facebook. So check out the Facebook page for Onward Upward Inc. And over on YouTube, we also have our Onward and Upward channel over on YouTube. So, and then as far as the background on our organization from our founder perspective, Anna Maria Bliven founded not just Onward and Upward, but also Prosperity Pathways. And on Wednesdays, we produce the Prosperity Pathways podcast. And so to dive deeper into the background of this, you can actually go to worldofability.com/shows. And with all things around this, you can email me, Kurt, K-U-R-T, at thedisabilitychannel.us. And folks can call or text me at 262-372-1754. So Emily, if you could go ahead and make it a wrap and conclude the recording, and then we will continue on our YouTube live. And so Emily, take it away. Go ahead and co-host the rest of the live streaming. The floor is yours, Emily. Take it away.
I suppose. So Onward and Upward and Prosperity Pathways both focus on helping people find employment, with Onward and Upward focusing more on let me turn my camera, the homeless population and veterans with finding employment. And Onward and Upward is also the fiscal agent of the Disability Channel of Toronto, Canada. We also have a guaranteed employment program. Basically, if you meet the requirements, you have the job. So any last thoughts, Maria? Or
Well, I love what Anna Maria started. I think it's amazing, and I think a lot of people should do that. And anyone, if they want to become an investigator with Tenterprise.biz, they can. It's just email my CEO and we're not a counter-terrorism. We don't do. We're not a counter-terrorism agency. We just help and consult in lots of different areas. So it's important that what we do is look at fake news, dissension. We look at lots of different things. We do lots and lots of different projects across the globe, and we have teams across the globe. And we're all signed a non-disclosure, but what we're doing is we also rescue human trafficking victims. That's one of our remit, and we turn them into survivors. We do a lot of stuff with climate modernization, lots of different things, and we're also business consultants as well. So we're problem solvers, and we do it holistically. So we consult on lots of different businesses and offer solutions for lots of different businesses as well. So it's interesting, really interesting. You get to see the best of humanity, and you get to see a lot of stuff. And the Happy Neighbourhoods project is a great project to be involved in. What about you?
any last thoughts, Kurt?
Well, I guess I can come back to Maria's question from before in terms of training on human trafficking. I have gone through some, but Maria was also including you, so figured we can give you a chance to respond to that.
Well, yeah, I don't think I haven't been any real human trafficking
I think it's
specific training.
because what I've realised and what I've found is a lot of female army veterans are human trafficked of PTSD and stuff like that. So I'll send you links of free human trafficking, free places that you can learn. That'll be really helpful for your organisation. Spot them if when they're homeless, if they have had that, if that's happened. I think it would be really beneficial to you. So I'll send you some links.
Okay, well, thank you.
Free training, and you can come and some training. I can give you some training or other organisations. That's not a problem because I think
Yeah,
it's really important.
I'll share them with Anna Maria too, and Kurt and whoever else would like to look at
I
them.
think it's really important to train and recognise it because unless you've had it is about common sense, but when you have the training, it's really beneficial, especially for I think all non-profits who work in the homeless sector or any sector should have that training. Also, cultural awareness is really important training, disability awareness training, human trafficking training, but also disability awareness and cultural awareness training is super important. There's so much training that's super important, but it's also treating everybody who has a disability to be the same and also accommodating reasonable adjustments when they require as well. Have you found a lot of disabled people homeless in your organisation? Emily?
Yeah, well, that's the one. Yeah, that's one of our populations we focus on is the whole homeless population.
But you see, when they're homeless, do you find them more disabled homeless? Do you find that more younger people, older people? Do you find disabled army veterans? Where?
Right. I think it varies. Garrett was the percentage of
In the disabled in the homeless community, do you see more people that are disabled homeless? Do you see more people that are ex-army veterans homeless? Where do you see more females, younger homeless? Do you see older?
I think we've sort of seen a sort of a variety. We've had younger and we've had older too, and some in the middle.
Do you see a lot of families with children homeless now?
We've had some, yeah, a few.
Yeah, on the disability community side, Anna Maria taught us that 3 out of 4 people that are experiencing homelessness are also in the disability community.
Absolutely. It's massive. That's what I'm focusing on. And I'm really passionate about that. And I want to get them better housing. Because I think there's not enough housing that's adapted for the disabled community. And it's really important to have that, to give them independence back to them as well. And also the difference between hidden and the difference between hidden disabilities versus physical disabilities is so prevalent, and there's more hidden. There's a lot more discrimination against hidden disabilities out there that people realise, and there's so many hidden disabilities that people may not be aware that they have a hidden disability. And I've seen in the UK a lot more people on the autistic spectrum being diagnosed in the adults in the UK. Have you seen that in the US? Emily?
Karen, do you have any thoughts on that?
So the question is about adults in the US as far as what?
In the UK, there's more and more adults are being diagnosed with autism.
Oh, for as far as so when you
Autism.
say more adults, you mean more than there were before, or more adults?
More, I'm talking about in the 40s and 50s. I'm now being diagnosed with autism and ADHD.
So did you just say that people in their 40s? I'm not quite catching your words here.
There's women and men in the 40s and 50s
Yeah.
have now been diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and PTSD in the UK. Is that the same in the States?
I would guess it would resemble. I mean, I have heard a bit about it, but to start talking about how prevalent it is, I'm not really knowing that. So yeah, I mean,
I'm
I
sure,
know,
I'm sure there is some. I just don't know like specific numbers
yeah, I've been a part of,
as they compared to what you were just saying about the UK.
yeah, so I've been a part of activities, events, meetings, and so forth where it's talked about, but the the experience I have with all that, I'm not recalling actual statistics or being able to put a number to it, to quantify it. I have never come by that yet. I'd have to Google it or something.
That is actually quite prevalent in the UK. It's been, that's how
Yeah, I mean, I
it's been
know
discussed.
it's a big topic because it's something that hasn't been as much considered, and it's more easily dismissed in terms of the possibility in the
Absolutely.
adult community. But now that they're getting to be more exact about it and raise awareness about it, it's
Absolutely.
trending into that direction. But again, back to quantifying it.
Oh no, I absolutely understand. Here in the UK, we're moving more towards a focus on hidden disabilities and people with is that have you seen a more focus on hidden disabilities being made? Because we're seeing in the UK a lot of hidden disabilities having a lot of discrimination against them. Is that the same in the States?
Yeah, the advocates are always addressing stigma, and I personally speak to it with everybody at the Happy Neighborhood Project, and the idea that people with disabilities are viewed as a liability, and just not having an equitable place in society. And that's where my narrative includes asking people to self-assess their faith community, what their volunteer groups, before I was mentioning Lions, Kiwanis, Rotary, Optimist Club, let people name their favorite nonprofit and to check in, like, let's start figuring out how many people are serving on the boards of these groups that are board members with disabilities. And I think of like community libraries and so forth, and what goes on at these facilities, that it's a site for community education, and to look at how involved is it practically established that it makes sense for people with disabilities to be at these events because of the inclusive nature of it, and the accommodations, more so not being there. And
Okay.
so like if a sign language interpreter is not there, it's not as welcoming to the deaf community and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then again, I think of the fun stuff, the hobbies, pastime, leisure activities, travel, when you think of all these things of life, and then you wonder, why is it that people with disabilities are not as much a part of it? And I think some of it is through marketing and advertising and what I call the falsely claimed mainstream. 3 out of 4 people in our world are creating this image that does not include people with disabilities. When you look at billboards and you look at all the models and, just, like in movies and so forth. I mean, we're seeing a trend in like disc films and so forth. The trend is there, but it's still far away from its equitable place.
Absolutely. What about, I'm sorry for interrupting, what you know about assistive technology, Kurt? Do you think the business community knows enough about it? Do you think they understand it? Assistive technology is what's available out there. Do you think business communities and business leaders from the small business lead from the small and from the small business to the bigger business, you believe that they understand assistive technology? Do you think they, especially like here in the UK, 75% of our website are not compliant uh, for the disabled community for accessibility needs? Do you think business lead I'm not talking about business leaders, but business owners in general, do you believe that they cater to the disabled community correctly with assistive technology? Do you think they use all of it to the best of their advantage? What would you say to those communities out there, to business owners who are starting out? What would you say to them if they've not started their website and not started anything? Cut. As a disability advocate, you've been advocating for disabilities for, I think it's over 15 years. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that too falls into coincidentally, 3/4, 1/4 component that I think we need think tanks and we need collaborations in the business community. Because I would say that as we navigate in networking and meeting people in the business community and going about our work, if we are really good at asking people about their background and speaking on these topics, I think we would find like 1 in 4, are pretty decent and have something to offer into these topics. But 3 out of 4 people in the professional arena, C-level executives, people on board, business leaders, people who claim, who are trainers and a lot of the event planners in the business world, that this is my big concern, is that, we have a lot of money flying around with events, and events are a tough business anyway. But the fact is that we have a lot of professional event planners, and like say for the deaf community to say, these event planners have to work with bringing in a sign language interpreter. The thing that's wonky about this is that if you survey all the event planners of the world, I think you would find 99% of them are starting from scratch to figure out how to incorporate a sign language interpreter. There's a lot of telltale signs that the business community is not yet designed for people with disabilities. I mean, there's a lot of good work. Like you talk about Microsoft and you're working for a company. There are a lot of companies, like I say, 1 in 4, that are doing decent or something where we want to look at what they're doing. But 3 out of 4, it's like, you know what? They got to kick it in gear and do something. And we got to put the pressure on, because the natural business forces aren't provoking them to learn the assistive technologies and so forth, like you say. And I'm speaking from experience,
Absolutely. As the company I work for 15 years, we have an accessibility customer service line. Absolutely. So we've always had that. We've also had a website. We've always had that. But that is actually very radical for, and in the UK right now, because of COVID, we have to be, because of COVID, there's customers right now are vulnerable. They can't pay the broadband. They can't pay this. They can't pay that. So it's really important that businesses owners understand that. But my concern is AI. I think AI could be, and AI needs to be controlled. What do you think about AI right now for the disabled community? I think it'll be fantastic, but I have concerns about AI. What about you?
Well, for sure, when you see a trend in technology, there's, it's emerging through a definite set of opportunity. And, none of this can be an end all cure all. And I think, in collaboration and, to let it, get responded to from the disability community, yeah, there's a huge need to kind of rein in what's being done with AI to tweak it to, be well suited for the disability community. But AI as an initial concept in terms of an initiated trend, I think it's vastly amazing because like just think of advocacy and just
Yeah,
think of
absolutely.
applying AI to advocacy. Advocates around the world are going to be able to be more productive, and we're going to be able to better bring our messages to the greater world by embracing AI and then getting with those, designing AI so that the features of it and the experience of it is better suited for users that have disabilities.
Absolutely. My concern with setting, I'm not talking about yourself, but some entrepreneurs can be unethical with like people with from the disabled community and maybe sell them something that they shouldn't be selling them, and they could be predatory. But there's also got to look at ableism and that. So that's my concern. I've always have that concern is some, I'm not talking, can be predatory regarding the disabled community. But what my concern is the fact that I feel that right now, especially when the British, I think especially what happened with COVID, and I think it's really important that so much fake news went out about COVID, and especially some people who had disabilities who were blind, who couldn't see an image properly, should be getting images information from elsewhere that's not reliable, and that's my concern for due to COVID. And there's so much new technology right now regarding stem cells technology, regarding people saying they've got this new technology that can cure people with disability. For me, that concerns me. When that causes me concern. What 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 do you say about that?
Well, I mean, it is valid. It's the old saying of too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. So yeah, technology is applied use of tools. So we're thinking about the tools that are there for us in assistive technology, and if they're applied in an unethical way or a dysfunctional way or an inappropriate way or in a way that's not goodness of fit. And if it's provoking a response that ends up being at a consequence, yeah, we have to take a look at that and build awareness. And, it's just like, in technology with malware and viruses and, and all that. I mean, technology just comes with that field. Our friend Daryush, he deals with this all the time. So I'm sure if we brought Daryush into this conversation, he would give us clarity and further insight that would build off of what you said.
Absolutely. My concern is about, like, for example, stem cells. Some people may want to have stem cell technology, some people won't. And there's a rise of cancer. Now, for example, like Switzerland and Germany have better results than the UK. Um, for example, if you have cancer, sometimes the only cure can be come to the States, and going to Germany and places like that to get cured for cancer. And I do like both. I like holistic approaches as well because I don't want to take so much medicine all the time. So I like to have this holistic approaches like yoga and natural resources as well. And my concern with the climate that we're cutting down trees in the Amazon forest, things like that, that could be stopping, preventing us from finding cures because there's plants that we've not discovered yet that could be curing ailments that we have. So that's my concern about the climate and everything else that's going on. Do you think since we're do you think because we're in COVID, we're still in COVID, and do you think that we will be? How long do you think that COVID would last? Do you think it's going to be here for a long time? Do you think it's going to be here definitely, or do you think we're going to have to live with it, Kurt? What do you think about that scenario?
Well, I think in a definite way, COVID is here to stay. I mean, it's COVID-19 because, COVID in prior, identifications, has always been with us. So this COVID-19 and the different strains and the way it's coming back, and so it's going to be a scientific nuance that we're going to have to keep an eye on this. But as we get better as people to respond to it, the public health concern, I think is going to stabilize. But I'm talking futuristically, like a
Yeah,
year from now, 2 years from now, whatever.
absolutely. But I believe that if you're near to someone who's disabled, who's got cancer, I just think just wear a mask. And if somebody's wearing a mask, don't, because what it's been in the new, what we've been hearing and seeing is people have been calling people out for wearing masks, and I don't think that's right. Especially when a lot of people are immune deficient right now, especially myself, because of long COVID. I'm going to wear a mask when I go out due to the fact I've got, although I have the vaccines, I've taken the vaccine. It doesn't mean to say you won't get COVID again. You will. It's not a cure. However, I will still wear a mask, even though because for me, there's still concern for other human beings. And I hear we've opened up completely in some countries, and now New Zealand have went back into lockdown just for one case, and Australia's back into lockdown, and Italy's going to go into its fourth lockdown with my sisters in Milan, and that's where it actually started in for Europe, and that's where Sky News went in to Bergamo, which is I know Bergamo because I've got friends and friends from there. So for me, when I saw that, that like broke my heart because that's like my city. That's where I'm from. And how's Wisconsin's right now with COVID? Is it a concern there for the disabled community?
Well, I mean, what I can say about around me is like I'm an announcer for a water ski show in my community, and I'm describing an outdoor forum. So I know that when we describe outdoor versus indoor, it's different. But I do know it's interesting to do the water ski show, and not a one person is concerned about COVID, and we're just going about things like COVID never happened. And even with indoor events, it's a split response. And I'm seeing in my area that the primary response right now is, if it's an informal gathering or, an organization that doesn't have, a tight, connection to the consequence of it, there's a preference to not worrying about wearing masks or even social distancing, for that matter. And, but I'm also on the board for a service organization and, kind of an organization that provides personal cares and so forth. And with that, with that formal service, yeah, the organization is having clients and the staff and everything's back to masking and preventions and social distancing and all that. So I think it's a little bit about, the function of gatherings, who's leading it, what their responsibility level is, the legal ramifications, and
Yeah.
everybody's in a different place at it at this point, I think.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
think we're seeing-
Absolutely, Kurt. But I think it's good to have the social gatherings. But like, for me as a producer, on film and TV, and as a cover supervisor, I still, because I know having long COVID, I know how terrible it is, and I would follow I would also follow the I would also keep the social distancing because of, especially due to the fact we've still got the Delta variant. Is the Delta variant in America now, or is it away from America?
Say that again. What's away from America?
The Delta variant, the Indian variant, the Delta variant.
Oh no, we have that variant is in the U.S. Yeah, that's why we're going back to protection.
Oh right. Oh
We do have
no.
it, yeah.
Oh no, that's a really tough one. We had it. It's really tough. Well, I hope your families are safe. And I hope everyone's safe in your family, Kurt. And I love what you're doing with the water skiing. So how long did it take you to get the water skiing? So how long have you been water skiing, Kurt?
Yeah, I mean, I took on, water sports when I was already like 6 years old or 5 years old, like inner tubing or going on a disc, knee board type stuff. But then I learned water skiing when I was 8, but I had been around it all my life. My mother and cousins and my siblings all were skiing and whatever. So, but I'm 49. So when I say, 8 years old, that's 41 years of water skiing. So
Did you ever want to represent the US in water skiing?
what about the US and water skiing?
Did you ever want to represent the United? Did you ever want to represent the US in water skiing?
Represent in what way? I think in some way I do, but are you talking about like a USA team or what?
Yeah, Team USA. Did you ever try out for Team USA?
No, I never did try out. I never got to that caliber. When I look at our Team USA and what that's been all these years, I've never been at that caliber to be that person. I would have had to take a different approach and really got into training and spent a lot more time actually at the sport of water skiing. My past has been 2 or 3 days a week for the last 35 years in show skiing. So so basically at that level, and with what it is, it's with the water ski show team. So it's been a lot of taking my turn, and it's just that format is not really a great skill builder format. You get to be good enough at what we do in the water ski show, and that's about it. And so yeah, in terms of doing what they do with Team USA and the 3 event style, that's a different form of water skiing. You know, it's a lot of the same skills, but to get at that level where it's like you're saying, represent the USA, I would have had to get into that discipline of water skiing, 3-event tournament, to do the tricks and the jumping and, you know, the slalom course and stuff like that. I never endeavored that, so I didn't have those skills.
I love seeing those skills, but I can't swim, so I have a fear of water. I would love to water skill. I would love to learn to surf, but I have a fear of water. Water petrifies me. Water petrifies me. I have a major fear of water. I love boats. Don't get me wrong, but because there was a woman. There was this female. Christina Blakely, I think it's Blakely, if I'm not mistaken. She water skied across from England to France. She water skied across the channel. Would you ever do that?
Yeah, that too would not be kind of what I'm looking to go for. I actually developed like a carpal tunnel condition in my forearm. So endurance is not where I'm at. You know, I've lost my endurance and hanging on to the handle, you know, type of thing.
A lot. Is that the one like a lot of tennis players do? Is that the one? Is that the injury tennis players?
No, that's more of a tendonitis type of thing.
Right,
you know,
okay.
the tennis elbow and so forth. You know, it's kind of with the tendon, and
Sorry
you're
to hear
always.
that, Kurt.
What's that?
I'm sorry to hear that. Is it painful?
Yeah, if I overexert myself, I mean, not like big pain, it's just it becomes a chronic pain, but it's durations of chronic pain, because it's like, and it's discomfort and it's ache, and then it's just, it affects the function of the grip.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because basically when I overstrain it, then it needs to recover, and it affects like what I do, even holding a pencil or whatever. And
I can understand that.
You always feel that ache.
My hands are different because of my condition. I'm trying to show you my hand. I can't turn my hand a certain way. I don't know if you can see it. My hand can't turn a certain way, so I'll probably more likely end up with arthritis. So yeah, I can understand it. I wanted to train for Scotland and team fighting, which is karate. But because of my condition, I wasn't allowed to be insured to be able to fight for Scotland. So I was actually training to be fighting. I trained with part of the Scottish team to fight for Scotland, to fight in martial arts and karate. But I wasn't allowed to compete because they didn't want. I wasn't allowed to be insured. But they didn't want for me to get hurt. But I did a lot of. I trained 7 days a week for many years, and I just got under a black belt and my brown and white belt of karate, Shotokan karate. So I did land sports. Emily, did you do any sports when you were younger? Emily? 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 It's been lovely to speak to you today.
Still here.
I'm saying, have you done any sports when you were younger?
Oh yeah.
What sports did you do? Come on, camera.
I was in like volleyball and track and field and a few things.
I did gymnastics, but I was terrible. I was tiny, I was terrible. I did gymnastics. So you did volleyball?
Mm-hmm.
In track and field. So what did you do in track and field?
The long jump.
Long jump. We're learning something new today. Do you
Mhm.
like the long jump?
Yes.
I was terrible. Were you good at the long jump? I was terrible.
Did you just say long john?
Long jump.
Oh, long jump. Yeah, I've never been one that was great at long jump. Yeah, the track and field stuff, I never was spectacular at any of it. So yeah, that was not my. So yeah, I more needed to take on sports like basketball or football, or took on golf because my father got into the golf business and stuff like that.
Yeah, Scotland developed the golfing game.
Yeah.
It developed from Scotland. So we see when if you're really good at sports in America, can you get a scholarship to university if you're really good at sports? Can you
Yeah.
get a full ride to a university if you're really good at sports?
Yeah, I mean, in a sport like golf, I mean, you have to be pretty much the head of the pack. I'm not familiar with that being, prevalent that on a golf scholarship, you're getting a full ride.
I mean, a football scholarship. You get a full ride in the football.
Oh yeah, football is huge. That's all over the US where students are getting full rides all the time in the sport of football. I mean, not like 100%, but there are a lot of football players that are getting a full ride. That's very common. Yeah, we are committed to football. Yeah.
What about track and field, Emily?
I think there are scholarships for that too.
What
Probably
about
about it.
tennis?
Not so sure about tennis, but I'm sure there are probably scholarships for a lot of sports.
I think there's a tennis academy in Florida because a lot of our tennis stars go to Florida to learn to play and then come back and beat the Americans. But there's a tennis academy in Florida. That's where we send all our stars over to. Because I love them. Is tennis really big in America? Tennis?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of tennis players around. Yeah, the colleges have their tennis teams, and oh yeah.
So who's your favorite tennis player, Emily?
Probably at the moment right off the top of my head, probably Nadal.
Nadal, yeah, Rafael Nadal is really good. I'm looking forward to seeing the picture, the movie with the Serena sisters coming out. I think that's gonna be the one with Will Smith. I think that'll be is that out in America yet? It's got
What is the movie again?
it's the movie that stars Will Smith with the two Serena sisters. The story, the rise from Crompton to Wimbledon. I think it's coming out soon in the theaters.
Yeah, I'm not on top of knowing what that movie is. I mean, so yeah, if it came out in the US, I just really don't know. It might be, but I'm not on that. I don't know.
Anyway, I am going to head because what time is it?
Well, it's 6 o'clock over here, which means it must be what about midnight over by you?
Midnight. Of course, we've went live longer than we meant to go live because we're having a good conversation. And
Yeah.
so it's lovely to be allowed to interview you, Kurt, and give you a chance. So, because I'm a trained interviewer, so sorry, I thought, and Emily, it's lovely to find out that you actually like the long jump. I can't do the long jump because I'm tiny, but you need to, if we ever meet in real life, you need to show me your long jump technique because I'm terrible.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, stay safe, take care, and I'm leaving the meeting.